Let us begin with the fundamental law that governs all manifestation, the law of assumption. This law states simply that your outer world reflects your inner assumptions. What you believe to be true of yourself and your world must be made manifest in your experience. This is not a theory or a pleasant suggestion. It is an immutable law. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. These words from Proverbs contain the entire secret of successful living. Your consciousness, your concept of self, determines the world in which you live. The conditions, circumstances, and events of your life are but the outpicturing of your immanent beliefs. Many of you understand this intellectually, yet you continue to witness unwanted circumstances in your lives. Why is this so? It is because understanding alone is not enough. You must apply the law, and the application begins with detachment. The nature of detachment. What do I mean by detachment? Detachment is not indifference. It is not a cold withdrawal from life or a resignation to fate. Detachment, in its spiritual sense, is the recognition that you are not bound to your current circumstances, that you are not defined by your present conditions, and that you are free to assume a new state of consciousness regardless of appearances. Detachment means releasing your grip on the how and the when of your manifestation. It means surrendering the need to control the process by which your desire will be realized. This surrender is not weakness. It is the highest form of spiritual strength. In the Bible we read, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness is detachment. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that the creative power within you, your own wonderful human imagination, is God, and that this power, once directed consciously, will externalize your assumptions in ways that your rational mind cannot conceive. So many of you struggle because you cannot see the bridge of incidents that will lead to your desire. You worry and fret over the means, desperately seeking to manipulate external conditions. This very anxiety reveals your attachment to appearances, your bondage to what is. And as long as you remain bound to what is, you cannot experience what could be. The impediment of attachment. Attachment to outcomes, to specific means, to time frames, these are the chains that bind your creative power. When you insist that your desire must manifest in a particular way, you limit the infinite intelligence of God within you. You say, in effect, I know better than the divine wisdom how my good should come to me. Think of the farmer who plants a seed and then digs it up each day to see if it is growing. Such impatience and lack of faith in the natural process will prevent any harvest. Similarly, when you plant the seed of desire in your consciousness and then constantly unearth it through doubt, worry, and attachment to results, you interrupt the divine process of manifestation. I tell you truly, the entire universe conspires to fulfill your demanded assumptions. But this fulfillment comes through a bridge of incidents that your rational mind cannot and need not construct. Your work is not to build the bridge. Your work is to assume the end, the fulfillment, and to live in that assumption while the bridge builds itself. The process of letting go. Now, let us discuss the practical process of letting go. How does one detach from circumstances while remaining committed to a desire? The secret lies in what I call living in the end. To let go is to transfer your attention from the problem to the solution, from the lack to the fulfillment. It is to dwell mentally in the state of wish fulfilled, regardless of appearances. This dwelling is not a momentary visualization, but a sustained assumption. When you truly let go, you no longer feel the need to check on the status of your manifestation. You no longer feel anxiety about when or how it will appear. You rest in the comfortable certainty that what you have assumed in consciousness must objectify itself in your world. Consider the words of Scripture: whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. This is the essence of letting go. You pray, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you believe, live from that state as if it were already externalized, and then it manifests, becomes objectifying your world. The great obstacle to successful manifestation is the tendency to constantly check whether your desire has manifested. This checking is evidence of doubt, and doubt is a confession of attachment to current reality. To overcome this tendency, you must discipline your imagination to dwell exclusively in the end, in the state of fulfillment. The mental diet. This discipline requires what I call a mental diet. Just as you would carefully monitor what food you put into your physical body if you wish to maintain health. So must you monitor what thoughts you entertain in your mental body if you wish to manifest your desires. The mental diet consists of systematically rejecting any thought that contradicts your assumption of fulfillment. When doubts arise, and they will, you do not fight them or resist them, for what you resist persists. Instead, you simply withdraw your attention from the doubt and place it back on the assumption of fulfillment. This practice requires vigilance. The world is filled with evidence that will seem to contradict your assumption. Friends and family may tell you that your desire is impossible. Circumstances may appear to move in the opposite direction of your wish. In these moments, you must maintain your mental diet most rigorously. Remember, the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. The natural man is your senses, your rational mind that accepts current reality as final. The Spirit of God is your imagination, which can conceive of realities that transcend current appearances. You must choose which you will serve, focusing on your own path. Now we come to the third aspect of our discussion, focusing on your own path. This is perhaps the most challenging aspect of manifestation, for the world is filled with distractions, with comparisons, with the opinions and judgments of others. To focus on your own path is to recognize that your journey is unique. Your desires, your timing, your bridge of incidents cannot be compared to anyone else's. The moment you begin to compare your progress with others, you have strayed from your path. There is a wonderful passage in the Gospel of John. After Peter had received instructions from the risen Christ, he turned and saw John following them. Peter asked Jesus, "Lord, what about him?" Jesus replied, "If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You follow me." This is one of the most direct instructions concerning the need to focus on your own path. What is that to you? You follow me. These words apply to each of us. The path of another, their success, their timing, their method is irrelevant to your journey. Your task is to follow the Christ within you, the God self that speaks through your desires and guides you through your imagination. When you focus on others, comparing your progress, seeking their approval, fearing their judgment, you divert precious creative energy away from your manifestation. Every ounce of attention given to the opinion of others is an ounce taken from the assumption of your wish fulfilled. The correlation between detachment, letting go, and focus. These three principles, detachment, letting go, and focusing on your own path, are not separate techniques, but different aspects of the same spiritual practice. Each reinforces and enables the others. When you truly detach from current circumstances, you naturally let go of anxiety about results. When you let go of anxiety about results, you find it easier to focus on your own path without comparing yourself to others. And when you focus on your own path without comparison, you strengthen your detachment from external validation. This virtuous cycle creates a state of consciousness that is optimally receptive to manifestation. It clears away the obstacles that have prevented the externalization of your desires. It aligns your creative power with your conscious intentions, the true nature of reality. To fully embrace these principles, you must understand the true nature of reality. The world you experience is not an objective, independent reality separate from your consciousness. It is the outpicturing of your assumptions, the projection of your beliefs. The universe is mental, declares the Hermetic principle. All that you experience is created first in consciousness and then projected outward as experience. This means that to change your world, you need not manipulate external conditions. You need only change your assumptions. This is the great liberation. You are not a victim of circumstances, but the creator of them. You are not subject to the whims of fate, but the author of your destiny. The power to transform your life lies not in coincidence, but in controlling your assumptions about yourself and your world. The practice of revision. Now, I wish to share with you a powerful technique for detachment and letting go, the practice of revision. Revision is the art of reimagining past events in a way that aligns with your desired self-concept and life experience. At the end of each day, before you sleep, review the events that were unsatisfactory or that contradicted your desired state. In your imagination, revise these events. See them playing out differently in a way that aligns with your wish fulfilled. If someone was unkind to you, imagine them being courteous and respectful. If you failed at a task, imagine yourself succeeding brilliantly. If you received bad news, imagine receiving good news instead. This practice is not mere wishful thinking or denial of reality. It is the conscious application of the creative power of your imagination to rewrite the impressions in your subconscious mind. Since your subconscious accepts as true whatever you impress upon it, revision allows you to replace limiting impressions with empowering ones. Through consistent revision, you gradually detach from the limiting story of your past and create a new foundation for your future. You let go of grievances, disappointments, and failures, replacing them with experiences that support your new self-concept. The inner conversation. Another powerful practice for detachment and focusing on your path is to monitor and revise your inner conversation. Your inner conversation, the things you say to yourself, and the imaginary conversations you have with others, reveals and reinforces your true assumptions. Most people's inner conversations are filled with worries, justifications, rehearsals of grievances, and defenses against imagined criticisms. These mental dialogues keep them bound to unwanted circumstances and diverted from their true path. To transform your life, transform your inner conversation. Imagine hearing the congratulations of friends on your success. Imagine discussing your achievement as a fait accompli. Imagine the conversations that would follow naturally if your desire were already fulfilled. As you discipline your inner conversation, you will find that detachment becomes easier. You will naturally let go of anxiety about results because your mental world is already filled with the evidence of fulfillment. You will focus more easily on your own path because your inner dialogue affirms your unique journey rather than comparing it to others. The Sabbath rest. There comes a point in the manifestation process where all the work is done. You have planted the seed of assumption. You have nourished it with attention. You have protected it through mental diet. And now it must grow of its own accord. This is what I call the Sabbath rest. In the Bible, God created for 6 days and rested on the seventh, declaring his work complete and good. This is a pattern for all creation, including the creation of your desires in manifestation. There comes a time to rest, to cease all effort, to simply know that it is done. This Sabbath state is the highest form of detachment. It is the absolute confidence that your creative work is complete in consciousness and must now objectify itself in experience. In this state, there is no anxiety, no checking, no effort to make it happen. There is only the quiet knowing that what has been planted must come to harvest. Many miss their manifestations because they cannot enter this Sabbath rest. They continue to work, to effort to manipulate conditions long after the creative act is complete. This continued effort implies doubt, and doubt negates the assumption of fulfillment. Learn to recognize when your work is done in consciousness. Learn to say, as the Christ within you says, it is finished. Then rest in that knowing, detach from appearances, letting go of control, focus solely on the truth established in your imagination. The testing of faith, the period between the planting of your assumption and its visible manifestation, is a testing of faith. During this interval, appearances may contradict your assumption. Doubts may arise. Others may question your certainty. These tests are not obstacles, but opportunities to strengthen your new consciousness. Each time you choose your assumption over appearances, you deepen your faith. Each time you detach from discouraging circumstances, you strengthen your creative power. Each time you let go of anxiety about results, you accelerate the manifestation process. Remember the words of Scripture, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Your faith, your persistent assumption that it is the means to acquire your desire. It is the substance of the desire itself, already present in consciousness, awaiting externalization. When doubts arise, do not fight them or fear them. Simply recognize them as remnants of your old consciousness, the consciousness you are transcending through your new assumption. Then gently but firmly return to your assumption, knowing that what you are conscious of being, you must become. The divine indifference. There is a state of consciousness that I call divine indifference. This is not apathy or lack of interest in your desires. It is the serene knowing that your assumption, once firmly established in consciousness, must manifest regardless of appearances or time frames. Divine indifference allows you to pursue your daily activities without anxiety, without constantly checking for evidence, without the inner tension that comes from attachment to outcomes. It is the ability to live contentedly in the present moment while knowing that your future is secure in your assumption. This state might be described as earnest expectancy without anxiety. You are expectant because you know the law must fulfill your assumption. You are without anxiety because you know the law must fulfill your assumption. The certainty removes the need for concern. When you achieve this divine indifference, you will find that manifestations come more easily and more frequently. The very detachment accelerates the process, for it removes the resistance caused by doubt, worry, and overattention. The naturalness of your desire. Another key to successful detachment is to recognize the naturalness of your desire. Your desires are not random whims or egoic fantasies. They are the voice of God within you, calling you to express more of your divine nature, to experience more of the abundance that is your birthright. When you see your desires in this light, detachment becomes easier. You no longer feel that you are grasping for something beyond your desert or fighting against the order of things. You recognize that the fulfillment of your desire is as natural as the blooming of a flower or the rising of the sun. This recognition eliminates the sense of struggle that accompanies so many people's manifestation efforts. You need not fight for your good. You need only align your consciousness with it through assumption. You need not force your desire into being. You need only provide the conditions in consciousness for its natural unfoldment. As Jesus said, consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, they toil not, neither do they spin. The lily does not strain to become a lily. It simply unfolds according to its nature. Similarly, your desires unfold naturally when you align your consciousness with their fulfillment. The state akin to sleep. There is a particular state of consciousness that facilitates detachment and the impregnation of your subconscious with new assumptions. I call this the state akin to sleep, a drowsy, receptive state where the rational mind is temporarily quieted and the subconscious is especially receptive to suggestion. In this state, which you can enter just before sleep, upon awakening, or through deliberate relaxation during the day, your imagination has direct access to the subconscious. The images and feelings you entertain in this state are accepted without the interference of the rational mind's doubts and objections. Use this state to impress your desire upon the subconscious. Feel yourself into the state of wish fulfilled. Experience in imagination the joy and gratitude of having what you desire. Then allow yourself to drift into sleep or to return to normal consciousness, knowing that the seed has been planted. This practice, performed consistently, will gradually transform your dominant assumptions about yourself and your world. As your assumptions change, your experience must change to match them. This is the law, the freedom of consciousness. The ultimate secret of detachment is the recognition that you are pure consciousness. You are not your body, your circumstances, your history, or your possessions. You are the awareness in which all these things appear. This recognition is liberation. When you know yourself as consciousness rather than content, you can change the content at will. You are no longer bound to any particular set of circumstances because you recognize that circumstances are projections of your assumptions, not independent realities. From this perspective, detachment is not something you do. It is the recognition of what you are. You are naturally detached from all conditions because you are the consciousness in which conditions appear, not the conditions themselves. This is the meaning of Jesus' statement. Be in the world, but not of the world. To be in the world is to participate in the experiences of human life. To be not of the world is to recognize that you transcend these experiences, that you are the consciousness that witnesses and creates them. The practice of I am. To strengthen this recognition of your true nature, practice what I call the I am meditation. Set aside time each day to sit quietly and focus on the feeling of pure existence, the feeling of I am. Before you identify with any particular attribute or condition, before you say I am rich or I am poor, I am successful or I am failing, There is the pure awareness of being. This awareness is your true self, your God self. As you rest in this awareness, you naturally detach from limiting conditions. You recognize that all descriptors that follow I am are assumptions that you are free to change. You are not inherently any particular condition. You are the consciousness that assumes conditions. From this state of pure awareness, you can then consciously choose the assumptions that will shape your experience. You can say with full conviction, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am fulfilled, knowing that these statements define your consciousness and therefore must define your experience. The transformation of identity. Manifestation at its core is not about acquiring things or changing circumstances. It is about transforming your identity, your concept of self. When your self-concept changes, your world must change to reflect it. Most people try to change their lives by manipulating external conditions while maintaining the same self-concept. This is why their efforts so often fail. The external always conforms to the internal. Your circumstances are the shadow cast by your concept of self. To create lasting change, you must adopt a new identity. You must see yourself as the person who already has what you desire, who already is what you wish to be. This identity shift is the essence of assumption. When you truly assume a new identity, detachment from old conditions happens naturally. You no longer worry about how or when your desire will manifest, because in consciousness, from the perspective of your new identity, it has already manifested. You are simply waiting for the outer to catch up with the inner. The persistence of assumption. The final key to successful manifestation is persistence in your assumption. This does not mean effortful striving or constant affirmation. It means returning to your assumption whenever you become aware that your thoughts have strayed from it. Your old beliefs and assumptions have momentum. They have been reinforced over years or decades of thinking, and they will not be replaced by a single session of imagining. You must persist in your new assumption until it becomes as natural and habitual as your old assumption once was. This persistence is not a burden, but a practice. Like learning any new skill, it requires attention at first, but eventually becomes second nature. There will come a time when your new assumption is so deeply established that you no longer need to consciously maintain it. It will have become your dominant belief, your natural way of being. Until that time, gently but firmly return to your assumption whenever you notice that your thoughts or feelings contradict it. Do not chastise yourself for lapses. Simply correct your course. The more consistently you maintain your assumption, the sooner it will manifest in experience. Conclusion. The promise fulfilled. My dear friends, I have shared with you tonight the great secret of manifestation: detachment, letting go, and focusing on your own path. This secret is not new. It has been taught by spiritual masters throughout the ages in various forms and languages. Jesus taught it when he said, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Buddha taught it when he identified attachment as the source of suffering and detachment as the path to liberation. Krishna taught it in the Bhagavad Gita when he instructed Arjuna to perform his duty without concern for the fruits of his action. This teaching transcends all religious and philosophical boundaries because it is not a belief but a law, as immutable as gravity. When you assume a state in consciousness and detach from appearances, that state must objectify itself in your experience. This is not magic or mysticism. It is the creative process by which all experience comes into being. I challenge you to test this law in your own life. Select a desire, something you truly want to be, do, or have. Formulate a clear assumption that would be true if this desire were fulfilled. Then live from that assumption while detaching from appearances, letting go of anxiety about results, and focusing on your own path without comparison to others. Do this consistently, and I promise you that your assumption must harden into fact. The seed planted in consciousness must grow into manifestation. The word spoken in the silence of assumption must become flesh in the world of form. Remember always, all things are possible to him that believeth. Your belief Your assumption, maintained with detachment and persistence, is the creative power that shapes your world. Use this power consciously, and there are no limits to what you can create in your life. Go now in peace, dwelling in the certainty that your desires are already fulfilled in consciousness and must, by law, externalize themselves in your experience. God bless you, my friends, and remember, imagination creates reality. The two words I am about to share with you are not to be spoken lightly. They are not to be shared carelessly. For in these two words lies the key to unlocking the infinite potential of your imagination, the power to manifest anything you desire. Now you might be wondering, Neville, what are these two words? How can mere words have such power? And therein lies the crux of our discussion today. The power of these words lies not in their sound or their spelling, but in the state of consciousness they evoke when properly understood and applied. The two words are simply this: I am. Yes, I am. These two words, when used with understanding and feeling, contain within them the power to reshape your entire reality. For you see, whatever follows I am in your thoughts and speech becomes your reality. It is the gateway through which you define yourself and your world. But remember, I caution you not to tell anyone. This is not because this knowledge is to be hoarded or kept secret out of selfishness. No, it is because the power of these words is deeply personal. It is a power that must be experienced, not merely heard about. It is a truth that must be lived, not simply intellectualized. Now, let us delve deeper into how to use these two powerful words to manifest anything you want. The key lies in understanding that I am is not just a statement. It is a declaration of being. When you say I am, you are defining your state of consciousness, and your state of consciousness is the lens through which you experience and create your reality. Consider for a moment, how often do you unconsciously use these words in a way that limits you? I am tired, I am broke, I am unlucky in love. Each time you make such a statement, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind a state of being that it must then outpicture in your world. But here's the liberating truth. You have the power to consciously choose what follows I am. You have the ability to define your state of being in alignment with your desires. This, my friends, is the key to manifesting anything you want. So how do we begin this process of conscious creation through the power of I am? The first step is to clearly define what you wish to manifest. What is it that you truly desire? Be specific. Don't simply say I am rich. Instead, declare I am abundantly provided for in all areas of my life. Don't just say I am in a relationship. Instead, affirm I am in a loving, fulfilling partnership that brings out the best in me. Once you have your clear declaration, the next step is to feel the reality of words. This is crucial. You must feel the truth of your I am statement now, not in some distant future. Remember, your subconscious mind doesn't understand time. It only understands the present moment. So if you say I am but feel that it's not true yet, you're sending mixed signals to your subconscious. Instead, as you declare your I am statement, allow yourself to feel the reality of it. How would you feel if your declaration were already true? Would you feel joyful, confident, free, grateful? Embody these feelings, live from this state of being. This is not pretending or lying to yourself. This is assuming a new state of consciousness, which is the very essence of creation. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, how can I feel something that isn't yet true? This is where the power of your imagination comes into play. Your imagination is the bridge between your current reality and your desired state. It is through your imagination that you can step into the feeling of your I am statement, even before it manifests in the physical world. Your imagination is not a flight of fancy or a frivolous faculty. It is the very workshop wherein you fashion your future. When you imagine, you are experiencing reality at its most fundamental level. You are engaging with the pure potential of consciousness. shaping it with your attention and your assumption. To use your imagination effectively in conjunction with your I am statements, you must first quiet your conscious mind. The chattering of your daily thoughts, your worries, your doubts, these must be silenced. Enter a state of relaxation, a state akin to sleep, but in which you remain consciously aware. In this state, your subconscious mind becomes more receptive to impression. Once in this relaxed state, declare your I am statement. Feel its truth. Then construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of this statement. If your statement is, I am abundantly provided for, you might imagine yourself looking at a bank statement with a large balance, or making a significant purchase with ease and joy. If your statement is, I am in perfect health, imagine yourself engaging in activities that demonstrate vibrant health and vitality. The scene itself should be short and simple. It's not about creating an elaborate story, but about capturing a moment that implies your I am statement is now a fact. This scene is your platform, the stage upon which you would enact the feeling of your words fulfilled. Now step into this scene. Don't watch it as a spectator, but experience it from the first-person perspective. Be there in that moment. And as you experience it, let the feeling of fulfillment wash over you. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the satisfaction of your I am statement realized. This is where many falter in their attempts at manifestation. They can see the scene clearly, but they fail to evoke the feeling. Remember, it is the feeling that gives life to your words and your imaginal act. Without feeling, your I am statement and visualization are merely mental exercises. With feeling, they become acts of creation. As you practice this, you may find that the feeling comes more easily with repetition. Each time you declare your I am statement and return to your scene, the feeling becomes more vivid, more real. This is good. You are strengthening the impression upon your subconscious mind. But here's a crucial point. Once you have evoked the feeling, once you have impressed it upon your subconscious, you must carry it with you into your waking life. This is where many stumble. They do their I am exercise, they feel it intensely in the moment, but then they return to their daily life and fall back into old patterns of thought and feeling. To manifest anything you want, to truly harness the power of I am, you must maintain the feeling of your words fulfilled, even in the face of contradictory evidence. This is where faith comes in. Not blind faith, but faith born of understanding. Understanding that your outer world is a reflection of your inner state. When you truly grasp this, you will no longer be swayed by appearances. You will know that what you see around you is the effect, not the cause. The cause lies in your consciousness, in your feeling. And as you persist in the feeling of your I am statement fulfilled, your outer world must reshape itself to match this inner conviction. Now let us address a common challenge in using the power of I am, the apparent contradictions of your senses. As you begin to live in the feeling of your words fulfilled, you may find that your current circumstances seem to contradict your statement. How do you maintain your feeling in the face of these seeming contradictions? This is where the art of ignoring comes into play. To ignore is not to deny the existence of something, but to refrain from giving it your attention and energy. When contradictory evidence appears, acknowledge it briefly. Then immediately return your attention to the feeling of your I am statement fulfilled. Remember, what you see in your outer world is the result of past assumptions, past feelings. It is like an echo of what you once believed. Your task now is to give more attention, more importance, more reality to your new I am statement than to these outdated circumstances. This practice requires mental discipline. It requires you to stand firm in your new assumption even when your senses argue against it. But remember, your senses only show you what has been, not what can be. Your imagination, informed by your I am statement, shows you what will be. As you persist in maintaining the feeling of your words fulfilled, even in the face of contradictory evidence, you will begin to see changes in your outer world. These changes may start small, a fortunate coincidence, an unexpected opportunity, a shift in someone's behavior towards you. Do not dismiss these as mere chance. They are the first fruits of your new assumption taking root. Now let us delve deeper into the nature of feeling in using the power of I am. When I speak of feeling, I am not referring merely to emotions, though emotions play a part. I am speaking of a deeper sense, a knowing, an unshakable conviction. It is the difference between saying I am successful and knowing in the very core of your being, I am successful. This feeling conviction is not something you can fake or force. It arises naturally when you have successfully impressed your I am statement upon your subconscious mind. This is why the repeated use of your imagination is so crucial. Each time you declare your statement and step into the feeling of it fulfilled, you are deepening this impression. Think of it like wearing a groove in a record. The first time you play the record, the needle may skip and jump. But with repeated plays, the groove deepens and the music plays smoothly. Similarly, as you repeat your I am statement and imaginal act, the feeling becomes more natural, more habitual. It becomes your dominant state. This is the state from which creation occurs. When you can maintain this feeling conviction throughout your day, when it becomes as natural as breathing, you have mastered the art of conscious creation through the power of I am. Your outer world has no choice but to conform to this inner state. But what of those moments when doubt creeps in? When fear arises? When the old patterns of thought and feeling try to reassert themselves? These moments are inevitable, especially in the beginning of your practice. Do not be discouraged by them. Instead, see them as opportunities to strengthen your new assumption. When doubt arises, do not fight it. Fighting against a thought only gives it more power. Instead, gently but firmly return to your I am statement and the feeling of it fulfilled. Remind yourself that what you see around you is the past. Your new statement, your new feeling is creating your future. This brings us to another crucial aspect of using the power of I am. The concept of living in the end. Living in the end means assuming the feeling of your words fulfilled in your day-to-day life. It's not enough to declare your I am statement for a few minutes each day and then return to your old patterns of thought and feeling. You must carry the feeling of your words fulfilled with you throughout your day. This doesn't mean you deny your current circumstances. Rather, you acknowledge them briefly, then immediately return to the feeling of your I am statement fulfilled. You live from the assumption that what you have declared is already true. For example, if your statement is I am abundantly wealthy, you would feel the security, freedom, and joy of wealth as you go about your day. When you make purchases, you would feel the ease and confidence of someone who has more than enough. When you interact with others, you would carry yourself with the assurance of a wealthy person. Living in the end requires a shift in your entire way of being. It's not about pretending or play acting. It's about genuinely assuming a new state of consciousness. When you do this effectively, you'll find that your actions naturally align with your assumed state, accelerating the manifestation process. Now, let us address the role of action in using the power of I am. Some people mistakenly believe that manifesting means they can simply declare their I am statement and then sit back and wait for their desires to magically appear. This is not the case. Using the power of I am does not negate action, it informs action. When you successfully impress your statement upon your subconscious mind, when you truly feel it as real, you will be inspired to take actions that align with this state. These actions will feel natural, even inevitable. They will not be driven by fear or lack, but will flow from your assumed state of fulfillment. This is a crucial distinction. When you take action from a place of lack, trying to get what you desire, you are actually affirming the assumption of not having it. But when you take action from the assumption of already being what your I am statement declares, you open yourself to infinite possibilities for its expression and expansion. So do not neglect action, but ensure that your actions are aligned with and flowing from your assumed state. Let your feeling guide your actions rather than hoping your actions will create the feeling. This alignment of inner state and outer action is key to manifesting anything you want. Now let us explore the concept of detachment in relation to using the power of I am. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care about your desire. Rather, it means you're not anxiously attached to seeing immediate results or figuring out how your desire will manifest. When you're truly living in the end, you can declare your I am statement and feel its reality without constantly looking for signs of its manifestation. You trust in the process, knowing that as you maintain the feeling of your words fulfilled, they must inevitably express themselves in your outer world. Detachment allows you to live in the present moment while holding your assumed state. It frees you from the anxiety and doubt that can slow down the manifestation process. It allows you to enjoy the journey of manifestation rather than being solely focused on the destination. Practice detachment by reminding yourself that your I am statement, imbued with feeling, is the reality. What you see in the outer world is just a shadow, a reflection of past assumptions. As you persist in your new assumption, this shadow must change to match the new reality you're imagining and feeling. Let us now address the importance of gratitude in using the power of I am. Gratitude is not just a pleasant emotion. It is a powerful creative force. When you feel genuinely grateful, you are affirming that you already have what you desire. This aligns perfectly with the principle of living in the end. Begin to cultivate an attitude of gratitude for your I am statement, even before you see it manifested in your physical reality. Be thankful for it as if it were already true. Feel appreciation for the abundance that surrounds you in all forms, the air you breathe, the sun that shines, the food you eat. As you practice gratitude, you are assuming the state of someone who has their I am statement fulfilled. This assumption, persistently held, must manifest in your outer world as the realization of your words. Now, let us explore the power of revision in using I am. Revision is not merely about changing your memories or rewriting your past. It is about recognizing that the past only exists in your mind, and therefore it can be changed in your mind. At the end of each day, take a few moments to review the events of your day. If there were any events that were not in alignment with your I am statement, revise them in your imagination. See them unfolding in a way that aligns with your words. Feel the satisfaction, the joy, the fulfillment of this revised version of events. By doing this, you are not denying what physically happened. You are changing the impact of that event on your subconscious mind. You are impressing upon your subconscious a reality that aligns with your I am statement, rather than one that contradicts it. As you make this practice of revision a habit, you will find that your reactions to current events begin to change. You will become less reactive, more peaceful, more aligned with your desired states of being. This alignment accelerates the manifestation process. Let us now discuss the importance of persistence in using the power of I am. While we speak of manifesting anything you want, it's important to understand that the speed of manifestation can vary. Some desires may manifest almost instantly, while others may take more time to fully materialize in your physical reality. The key is to persist in your assumption, regardless of how long it seems to be taking. Remember, the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. If you waver in your assumption, if you lose faith in the process, you send mixed signals to your subconscious mind, which can slow down the manifestation process. Persistence doesn't mean forcing or struggling. It means consistently returning to your I am statement and the feeling of it fulfilled, even when the outer world seems to contradict it. It means choosing again and again to live from the end, to embody the state of your words realized. This persistence requires faith, not blind faith, but faith born of understanding. Understanding that your outer world is a reflection of your inner state, and that as you persist in your new assumption, your world must reshape itself to match it. Now let us address the role of self-concept in using the power of I am. Your self-concept, the beliefs you hold about who you are, is perhaps the most powerful factor in determining what you can manifest in your life. Many people struggle to manifest their desires because their self-concept contradicts what they're trying to achieve. They may declare, I am wealthy, but deep down they don't believe they're the kind of person who can be wealthy. They may state, I am loved, but fundamentally believe they're unworthy of love. To use the power of I am effectively, you must be willing to revise your self-concept. This involves not just declaring your I am statement, but truly feeling and being it as your core identity. It's not about creating a false image of yourself, but about recognizing and embracing your true limitless nature. Remember, at your core, you are pure consciousness. You are not defined by your past experiences, your current circumstances, or the opinions of others. You are the awareness in which all these things appear. And this awareness, your true self, is infinite in its potential. As you use your I am statements to assume your desired states, you are essentially recreating yourself. You are stepping into a new concept of self, a new understanding of who you are and what's possible for you. This revision of self-concept is crucial for using the power of I am effectively. As you align your self-concept with your desires, you remove the inner contradictions that can slow down the manifestation process. Now, let us explore the role of emotion in using the power of I am. Emotion is the fuel that powers your statements. It's not enough to merely say the words. You must feel them. When you combine your I am declaration with genuine emotion, you create a powerful impression on your subconscious mind. This is because your subconscious responds more strongly to feeling than to intellectual thought. The emotions you want to cultivate are those you would feel if your I am statement were already realized. If your statement is I am wealthy, feel the security, the freedom, the joy that comes with financial abundance. If it's I am loved, feel the love, the connection, the companionship. These emotions should be so real, so intense, that when you open your eyes and return to your present circumstances, you carry with you a sense of fulfillment, as if your words have already been realized. This emotional component is what distinguishes effective use of I am from mere positive affirmations or wishful thinking. When you can genuinely feel your words as an accomplished fact, you are impressing them upon your subconscious mind as a reality. Your subconscious then works tirelessly to bring this feeling into physical manifestation. As we near the conclusion of our exploration, remember this: the power to manifest anything you want lies within you. It resides in your ability to use these two simple words, I am, with understanding and feeling. The secret to manifestation is not determined by external factors, but by the intensity of your belief and the consistency of your practice. Go forth from here with this knowledge. Apply these principles in your daily life. Use your I am statements consciously and deliberately to create the reality you desire. Feel the truth of your words with every fiber of your being. Persist in this feeling, even when your senses deny it. For as you do, you are reshaping your entire world, manifesting your desires with a speed and precision that might seem miraculous to others. Remember, you are the operant power in your world. You are limited only by your ability to imagine and to feel the reality of your I am statements. Embrace this truth. Live from this understanding and watch as your world transforms around you, reflecting the newfound mastery of your creative power. Thank you. And may your journey of conscious creation through the power of I AM be filled with joy, wonder, and the thrill of manifesting your deepest desires. Go now and create the life you've always dreamed of, for you are the master of your destiny, the author of your reality. The universe is not outside of you. What you see out there, what you experience in your world is nothing more than the outpicturing of your own consciousness. Everything that exists in your world was first born in your imagination. Now let me share a story from my own experience. Several years ago, when I was living in New York, I found myself in what the world would call a difficult situation. Bills were mounting, opportunities seemed scarce, and the external world appeared hostile. But I knew then, as I know now, that what I was experiencing was simply the harvest of my previous mental activity. You see, my dear friends, the secret lies not in fighting against these circumstances, but in completely relaxing into the awareness of who you really are. And who are you? You are God Himself, individualized. You are the operant power of the universe, expressing itself as you. Let us dive deeper into this magnificent truth. When I speak of relaxation, I am not merely talking about physical relaxation, though that is important. I am speaking of a profound mental and spiritual relaxation, a complete surrender to your divine nature. The first principle you must understand is this. Your consciousness, your I amness is God. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the name of God. This is not a metaphor, my dear friends. This is the absolute truth of your being. Now, how does one truly relax and trust the universe? It begins with understanding that what you seek is already yours in the invisible realm of imagination. Whatever you desire, be it wealth, love, health, or success, already exists in what I call the fourth dimension, the dimension of imagination. Let me share with you a technique I have used countless times. I call it the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Before you go to sleep at night, assume the feeling that would be yours if your desire were already realized. Feel the naturalness of having what you want. Feel the relief, the satisfaction, the joy that would be yours. For instance, if you desire financial abundance, do not focus on the lack of money in your current experience. Instead, feel the feeling of financial security. Feel how you would feel if your bank account were overflowing. Feel the satisfaction of paying your bills with ease. Feel the joy of helping others with your abundance. The secret, my dear friends, is to persist in this feeling until it becomes your predominant state. Remember, your outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. This is law. Let me tell you about a lady who attended one of my lectures in Los Angeles. She was struggling with chronic anxiety about her future. She constantly worried about everything that could go wrong. I told her, my dear, you are creating your future with these very worries. Instead, why not imagine lovingly? Why not assume that all is well? I instructed her to spend her evenings just before sleep, feeling the peace and security she desired. I told her to feel it so naturally that it would be impossible to believe otherwise. Within weeks, her entire world transformed. Her anxiety dissolved, opportunities appeared seemingly out of nowhere, and life began to flow effortlessly. You see, when you truly relax and trust, you are acknowledging your own divinity. You are recognizing that the power that created the universe is not separate from you, it is you. Now let me share with you the deeper aspects of trust. Trust is not about believing in an external power. True trust is the absolute conviction that your imagination creates reality. When you imagine something, you are literally creating it on a spiritual level. Your only task then is to remain faithful to your imaginal act. Consider this every morning when you wake up. You trust that the sun will rise. You don't worry about it. You don't try to make it happen. You simply know it will. This is the kind of trust I'm talking about. An absolute knowing that what you have imagined must materialize in your physical world. Let me give you a spiritual exercise that I have found immensely powerful. I call it the Sabbath. Choose a time each day when you can be completely alone and undisturbed. Close your eyes and mentally declare, "Be still and know that I am God." Feel the truth of these words. Feel the power and presence of your own wonderful human imagination. Then, bring to mind your desire, whatever it may be. But here's the crucial part. Don't think of it as something to be achieved in the future. Instead, feel that you already have it. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the completion. Then, rest in this feeling. This is what it means to enter the Sabbath, to rest in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Remember, my dear friends, the universe, which is your own wonderful human imagination, operates by law. Just as a seed planted in fertile soil must grow, so must your imaginal acts bear fruit in your physical world. But you must give your seed time to grow. This is where trust becomes essential. After you have planted your seed, after you have assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you must trust the law. Don't dig up your seed to see if it's growing. Trust that the law is working, even when you can't see the evidence with your physical eyes. Let me share another personal experience. Years ago, I desired to become a successful lecturer, sharing these truths with others. Instead of struggling and striving, I would lie in my bed at night and imagine hearing the applause of an audience. I would feel the joy of sharing these principles. I would feel the gratitude of those who understood and applied these truths. I did this night after night, feeling it to be real, feeling it to be natural. I didn't question how it would happen. I didn't worry about the steps needed to make it happen. I simply lived in the end, enjoying the feeling of it being done. And here I stand before you tonight, living proof that the law works. The secret was in completely relaxing into the consciousness of the wish fulfilled and trusting that the law must operate according to my assumption. Now let me address something that many struggle with, the appearance of circumstances that seem to contradict your desire. Remember this, what you see in the outer world is only the shadow of past thoughts and assumptions. It has no power to prevent your new assumption from materializing. When doubts arise, and they will, simply return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Don't fight the doubts. Don't struggle against them. Simply turn your attention back to the feeling of having what you desire. This is what it means to trust. Think of it this way: when you go to the theater to watch a play, you see various scenes unfold on the stage. Some may be tragic, some may be comic. But you remain relaxed in your seat because you know it's just a play. In the same way, learn to watch the scenes of your life unfold with the same detachment, knowing that your imagination is the author and finisher of your story. The key to relaxation and trust lies in this profound understanding. There is nothing to change but your assumptions about yourself and your world. When you change your assumptions, when you change what you believe to be true about yourself and your world, the outer picture must change to conform to your new assumption. Let me give you a practical technique for maintaining this relaxed state of trust. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself becoming tense or worried, pause and ask yourself, what am I imagining right now? You'll find that your tension and worry are always connected to negative imagining. Then, consciously choose to imagine something better. Remember, you are not trying to change the outer world directly. You are changing your inner assumption, and the outer world must follow. This, my dear friends, is the secret of relaxation and trust. It's not about making things happen. It's about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled and allowing the law to operate in its own perfect way and time. Before we conclude tonight's lecture, let me remind you of these essential truths. You are God individualized as you. Your imagination creates reality. What you assume to be true will harden into fact. The outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. Relaxation and trust are natural when you understand these truths. Go forth tonight and test this law. Choose something you desire to experience. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of having what you want. Then relax and trust that what you have assumed must manifest. Let me share with you another personal experience that illustrates this principle beautifully. Many years ago, when I was in Barbados, I met a man who was constantly worried about his business. He would come to me day after day, his face lined with concern, telling me about all the things that could go wrong. I said to him, my friend, do you know what you are doing? You are imagining the very things you fear, and therefore bringing them into your experience. I taught him what I'm teaching you tonight, that relaxation comes from the complete acceptance of your own wonderful human imagination as God. I told him, instead of imagining failure, why not imagine success? Instead of feeling tension about your business, why not feel the satisfaction of a thriving enterprise? You see, my dear wonderful friends, the secret lies in this. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. When you trust your imagination completely, when you relax into the consciousness of your desire fulfilled, you are exercising your divine creative power. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. This is not merely a poetic passage from Scripture. It is a profound spiritual truth. The lily doesn't struggle to become a lily. It doesn't strive or worry. It simply unfolds according to its nature. You too must learn to unfold naturally into your desires. This is what true relaxation means. It means knowing with absolute conviction that what you have assumed in your imagination must objectify itself in your world. Let me give you another technique that I have found particularly powerful. I call it the state akin to sleep. Find a comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow your body to relax completely. Now, in this state of physical relaxation, begin to feel yourself into the scene that would imply your desire is already fulfilled. For instance, if you desire a loving relationship, feel yourself being embraced by your perfect partner. Feel the warmth of their love. Feel the joy of sharing your life with someone who adores you. Make it real in your imagination. Feel it until it feels natural. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen in the future. You are acknowledging what is already true in the eternal now of imagination. This is why trust is so essential. You must trust that what you have imagined is already done. Let me share with you a letter received from a lady in San Francisco. She had been struggling with chronic illness for years. After attending my lectures, she began to apply this principle of relaxation and trust. Instead of fighting against her condition, she would spend time each day feeling the naturalness of perfect health. She wrote to me, Neville, I finally understand what you mean by living in the end. I no longer pray for health. I live from the assumption of being healthy. I no longer beg God for healing. I accept that I am already whole and perfect in my imagination. Within months, her health transformed completely. The doctors were amazed, but she understood the law at work. You see, my dear friends, this is the pattern shown on the mount. This is how creation works. Now, let me address something that many of you struggle with, the time gap between your imaginal act and its physical manifestation. Remember this. Time is not a factor in the fulfillment of your desire. The only time that matters is how long it takes you to feel natural in the state of your wish fulfilled. When you truly relax and trust, you don't concern yourself with when or how. You simply live in the end, knowing that the bridge of incidents will form itself. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to your imaginal act. Think about this. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the laws of nature to bring forth your harvest. The same principle applies to your imaginal acts. Once you have planted the seed in your imagination, trust that it must grow. Let me share another technique I call revision. At the end of each day, before you sleep, review the events that didn't go as you would have liked. In your imagination, revise them. See them happening the way you would have preferred. Feel the satisfaction of these revised events. This practice accomplishes two things. First, it prevents unwanted seeds from taking root in your consciousness. Second, it strengthens your ability to consciously create your reality. Remember, my dear friends, the universe is infinitely responsive to your consciousness. It must be, for the universe is nothing more than your own wonderful human imagination pushed out. When you truly understand this, relaxation and trust become your natural state. I want to share with you a profound truth that many miss. The state of relaxation and trust is not something you achieve, it is something you allow. It is your natural state when you recognize your true identity as God individualized. Consider this: does God worry about how things will work out? Does God struggle to make things happen? Of course not. God simply speaks the word, knowing it must be fulfilled. And you, being God individualized, have the same creative power. Let me give you another exercise to deepen your understanding of this truth. Throughout your day, whenever you say "I am," pause and remember that you are speaking the name of God. Feel the power of this awareness. Feel the absoluteness of it. When you say "I am wealthy," you are not making a statement about your current bank balance. You are declaring the truth about your being in the realm of imagination, which is the only reality. My dear friends, the secret of relaxation and trust lies in this complete acceptance of your own divine nature. When you truly know, that you are the operant power, all anxiety falls away naturally. I think of it this way: the sun doesn't worry about whether it will shine tomorrow. It simply shines because that is its nature. In the same way, when you accept your divine nature, creation becomes effortless. You create because that is your nature. Let me share one more personal experience. Years ago, when I desired to travel and lecture across the country, I didn't worry about how it would happen. I didn't make endless plans and strategies. Instead, I would lie in my bed at night and feel the satisfaction of speaking to packed auditoriums. I would feel the joy of sharing these truths with eager listeners. I remained faithful to this imaginal act, trusting that the law must work. And here I stand before you tonight, living proof that what you imagine with feeling must objectify itself in your world. Remember this: the outer world is a shadow, a reflection of your inner assumptions. When you change your assumptions, when you change what you believe to be true, the outer world must change to reflect your new consciousness. This is why relaxation is so crucial. When you truly relax, you stop trying to make things happen in the outer world. Instead, you focus on maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled in your imagination, knowing that the outer world must conform to your inner assumption. Trust, my dear friends, is not about believing in an external power. Trust is the absolute knowing that your imagination creates reality. It is the conviction that what you have assumed in your imagination must manifest in your physical world. As we conclude tonight's lecture, I want you to take this truth home with you. You are not a helpless being at the mercy of external circumstances. You are God Himself individualized as you, with all the creative power that implies. Tonight, when you return to your homes, choose something you desire to experience. It can be something small or something significant. Then, as you prepare for sleep, assume the feeling that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Fall asleep in this consciousness. Trust that while you sleep, the law is working to bring about the circumstances necessary for the fulfillment of your desire. For remember, man's eyes are blind to the reality of a thing until imagination has brought it into focus. Go now in peace, knowing that you are the author of your own story. Relax into your divine nature and trust in the perfect operation of the law, for this is the truth that sets you free. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, relax completely into the consciousness of your wish fulfilled and watch as your world transforms to match your inner assumption. Thank you and good night. I want you to listen carefully, for the words I speak are not my own, but rather the echoes of an eternal truth that has been whispered throughout the ages. This truth, my dear friends, is that your imagination is the very gateway to the reality you experience. It is the God-given power within you, the creative force that shapes your world. When I say believe you can, and you are halfway there, I am not speaking of a mere mental exercise or a fleeting moment of positive thinking. No, I am referring to a state of consciousness, a profound inner knowing that transcends all doubt and limitation. This belief, this unwavering faith in your desired outcome, is the very substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen in the physical realm. Consider for a moment the implications of this statement. If belief alone can propel you halfway towards your goal, then it stands to reason that the remaining distance is but a matter of allowing that belief to fully manifest in your experience. This is the essence of what I have long taught, that your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner assumptions and beliefs. Let us delve deeper into this concept. When you truly believe you can achieve something, you have already created it in the realm of imagination. And make no mistake, the imagination is not some fanciful playground of idle thoughts. It is the very workshop of creation. It is in this inner world that all things find their origin before they are made manifest in the physical realm. Now, some of you may be thinking, but never have believed in things before, and they did not come to pass. To this I say, examine the nature of your belief. Was it a fleeting hope, a mere wish tossed into the universe, like a penny into a wishing well? Or was it an unshakable knowing, a conviction so strong that you lived from the joy, experiencing the joy and satisfaction of your desire fulfilled even before its physical manifestation? You see, my dear friends, the power of belief lies not in its density, but in its consistency and the feeling it evokes within you. When you truly believe you can accomplish something, you begin to embody the state of the wish fulfilled. You walk, talk, and breathe as though your desire has already been realized. This is not pretense or self-deception. It is the highest form of faith, the kind that moves mountains and parts seas. Let me illustrate this with a simple example. Imagine you desire a new job, one that fills you with purpose and provides outlet. The conventional approach would be to search for openings, send out applications, and hope for the best. But this is not the way of the awakened imagination. Instead, I urge you to assume the feeling of already having this ideal job. As you lay in your bed at night, feel the satisfaction of a day well spent in your new position. Experience the joy of making a difference through your work. Feel the gratitude for the abundant compensation you receive. Live in this state night after night until it becomes your dominant feeling, your new reality. What you are doing in this exercise is far more powerful than any action you could take in the outer world. You are impressing upon your subconscious mind, the faithful servant that brings your assumptions to life, that the reality of your wish fulfilled, and your subconscious being intimately connected with the infinite intelligence that governs the universe, will set in motion a series of events to bring about the physical manifestation of your imaginal act. This, my friends, is the true meaning of believe you can, and you are halfway there. Your belief, when it reaches the level of absolute conviction, creates a bridge between your present circumstances and your desired state. It sets the stage for the miracle of manifestation to occur. But let me be clear, this is not about forcing changes in the outer world through sheer willpower. It is about changing your concept of self, your inner conversation, and your dominant feeling state. When you do this, the outer world has no choice but to conform to your new self-concept. For the outer is always a reflection of the inner. Now, some of you may be wondering, but what about action? Surely we must do something to achieve our goals. And to this I say, inspired action will naturally flow from your changed state of consciousness. When you truly believe in the reality of desire, you will find yourself moved to take steps that align with that reality. These actions will not feel like hard work or struggle, but rather like an effortless unfolding of events leading you to your desired end. Remember, the outer world is plastic and receptive to your inner assumptions. It is constantly being shaped and reshaped by the contents of your consciousness. Therefore, the most important work you can do is not in the outer world, but in the inner world of your imagination and beliefs. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on this profound truth. Close your eyes, if you will, and contemplate the goal that burns brightest in your heart. Perhaps it's a loving relationship, financial abundance, perfect health, or a fulfilling career. Whatever it may be, I want you to imagine just for a moment that you have already achieved this goal. Feel the emotions that would accompany this achievement. Experience the joy, the satisfaction, the peace that comes with the realization of your desire. As you sit there, embodying the feeling of your wish fulfilled, know that you are engaging in the highest form of creative prayer. You are declaring to the universe, this is who I am. This is my reality. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and perfect law, must respond to this declaration. Now open your eyes and carry this feeling with you. Let it infuse your thoughts, your words, and your actions. For in doing so, you are living from the end. And this is the secret to bringing your desires into manifestation. But I caution you, do not be discouraged if you do not see immediate results in the outer world. Remember, you are dealing with the invisible realm of causes, not the visible world of effects. Your task is to remain faithful to your imaginal act, to persist in the assumption that what you desire is already yours. This persistence, this unwavering faith in the face of contrary evidence, is what separates those who master the art of conscious creation from those who remain at the mercy of circumstance. It is to believe when all outer conditions support your belief. But it is in those moments when your senses deny your assumption that your faith is truly tested and strengthened. In the Bible, we find a perfect illustration of this principle in the story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. For 6 days, Joshua and his army marched around the fortified city, blowing their trumpets, but seeing no change in the impenetrable walls. It would have been easy to doubt, to question the sanity of their actions. But they persisted in their faith. And on the 7th day, the walls came tumbling down. This, my dear friends, is the power of persistent assumption. The walls in your life, whether they be financial limitations, health challenges, or relationship obstacles, are no more real or permanent than the walls of Jericho. They are simply projections of your past assumptions and beliefs. And just as Joshua's persistent faith brought down physical walls, your unwavering belief in your desired state will cause the walls in your life to crumble and fall. But remember, it is not the physical act of marching or blowing trumpets that brings down the walls. It is the inner conviction, the absolute faith that the walls must fall because God has decreed it so. And who is this God that decrees such things? It is own wonderful human imagination, the divine spark within you, that has the power to shape reality itself. Now let us address a common misconception. Many believe that to achieve their goals, they must wrestle with current circumstances, fight against what is, and struggle mightily to effect change. But I tell you, this approach is not only exhausting, but also counterproductive. For in fighting against your current reality, you are giving power, acknowledging its permanence, and thus perpetuating its existence. Instead, I urge you to adopt a different approach. Rather than fighting against what is, simply assume that what you desire to be is already a fact. Live from that assumption and watch as your outer world begins to shift and change to match your inner conviction. This, my friends, is the true meaning of the phrase, the battle is not yours, but God's. The battle is not fought in the outer world of effects, but in the inner world of causes. Your task is not to make things happen, but to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and allow the infinite intelligence within you to bring about its manifestation in ways that you may not even be able to imagine. Let me share with you a personal experience that illustrates this principle. Many years ago, I found myself in dire financial straits. Bills were piling up and opportunities seemed scarce. The temptation to worry and struggle was great. But instead of succumbing to anxiety and frantic action, I chose to apply the principle I am sharing with you today. Each night as I lay in my bed, I assumed the feeling of financial abundance. I felt the joy of paying my bills with ease. I experienced the satisfaction of helping others from my overflow. I lived in my imagination as a man of wealth and generosity. I persisted in this assumption, night after night, regardless of the seeming lack in my outer world. And then, my friends, the miracle unfolded. Within a matter of weeks, opportunities began to present themselves. A forgotten debt was repaid. An unexpected speaking engagement came my way. My financial situation transformed so rapidly and dramatically that those around me were astounded. But I knew the source of this transformation. It was not luck or chance, but the natural result of my changed consciousness. This experience taught me a valuable lesson that our outer world is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of our inner assumptions. Change the assumption, and the shadow must change. This is the law as exact and unfailing as any law in physics. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, surely it can't be that simple. There must be more to it than just believing. And to this I say, yes, it is that simple. And no, there is nothing more to it. But simple does not mean easy. The challenge lies not in the complexity of the process, but in your ability to persist in your assumption in the face of contradictory evidence. You see, when you first begin to apply this principle, your senses will rebel. They will shout at you, presenting evidence that seems to contradict your new assumption. This is the moment when many falter, when they abandon their imaginal act and return to their old patterns of thought and belief. But I urge you, my dear friends, to stand firm in these moments. Remember that your senses can only show you the effects of past beliefs and assumptions. They cannot peer into the invisible realm of causes where your new assumption is taking root and beginning to grow. Think of it like planting a seed in the ground. Once you've planted the seed, you don't dig it up every day to check on its progress. You trust in the invisible processes of nature to nurture that seed and bring it to fruition. In the same way, once you've planted the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your imagination, trust in the invisible processes of creation to bring it to manifestation. This trust, this unwavering faith, is what Jesus referred to when he said, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Notice the tense used here, believe that you have received it, not that you will receive it. This is the secret of living from the end, of experiencing the reality of your desire in your imagination before it manifests in the physical world. Now let's delve deeper into the practical application of this principle. How do you cultivate this level of belief, this unwavering faith in your desired outcome? The key lies in your ability to create and sustain a particular feeling state. You see, my friends, your subconscious mind does not understand words in the way your conscious mind does. It responds to feelings, to emotions, to the sensory vividness of your imaginal acts. Therefore, to impress your desire upon your subconscious, you must feel the reality of it with all the intensity you can muster. Let's say, for example, that you desire a loving, harmonious relationship. It's not enough to simply repeat affirmations or visualize scenes of togetherness. You must feel the love, the warmth, the deep connection as though it were already a reality in your life. As you lie in your bed at night, feel the presence of your beloved beside you. Experience the comfort of their embrace, the sound of their loving words, the joy of shared laughter. Make this imaginal act so real, so vivid, that when you open your eyes, you're almost surprised to find yourself alone. This is the level of sensory vividness, of emotional intensity, that impresses your desire upon your subconscious mind and sets the wheels of manifestation in motion. But remember, this is not a one-time exercise. You must return to this state night after night, regardless of what your outer circumstances may be showing you. For it is your persistence, your ability to maintain your assumption in the face of contrary evidence that demonstrates your faith and brings your desire into manifestation. Now, some of you may be wondering, but what if I can't sustain this feeling? What if doubts creep in? My dear friends, doubts are natural. They are the protest of your senses, the habits of your old consciousness asserting themselves. Do not fight these doubts, for in fighting them, you give them power. Instead, gently but firmly return to your assumption. Redirect your attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Think of it like training a puppy. When the puppy wanders off, you don't scold it or become frustrated. You simply gently bring it back to where you want it to be. In the same way, when your mind wanders into doubt or negative thinking, gently but firmly bring it back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This practice, this constant returning to the state of your wish fulfilled, is what is meant a biblical injunction to pray without ceasing. It doesn't mean to constantly repeat words or petitions, but to maintain a state of consciousness, a feeling state that aligns with your desire. As you practice this, you will find that it becomes easier and more natural. What once required effort will become your default state. You will begin to live from the assumption of your wish fulfilled, and as you do, you will witness the miraculous unfolding of events in your outer world to match your inner conviction. But I caution you, do not become attached to the way in which your desire manifests. Your role is to assume the state of the wish fulfilled. It is not to dictate the means by which it comes about. The infinite intelligence that responds to your assumption knows far better than your conscious mind how to bring your desire into manifestation. Trust in this intelligence. Allow it to work on your behalf. Your job is simply to maintain your assumption, to live from the end, and to be open and receptive to the opportunities and circumstances that will inevitably arise to bridge the gap between your current reality and your desired state. Now let's address another important aspect of this principle. When I say believe you can and you are halfway there, I'm not suggesting that you should believe in your ability to make something happen. Rather, I'm urging you to believe in the present reality of your desire. You see, there's a subtle but crucial difference here. When you believe in your ability to achieve something, you are still placing your desire in the future, still seeing it as something to be attained. But when you believe in the present reality of your desire, you are acknowledging it as an already existing fact, simply awaiting your recognition and acceptance. This shift in perspective is powerful. It moves you from a state of wanting or needing to a state of having and being. And it is from this state of having and being that true creation occurs. Consider the biblical story of creation. God did not say, "Let there be light, and I hope it will come to pass." No, the declaration was clear and absolute: "Let there be light," and light was. This is the model of creation we are called to emulate. We are to declare the reality of our desire with the same absolute certainty, the same unwavering conviction. When you do this, when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled with complete faith, you are exercising your divine creative power. You are aligning yourself with the very force that created the universe. And that same force will move heaven and earth to bring your assumption into physical manifestation. But remember, my dear friends, with great power comes great responsibility. As you begin to grasp the magnitude of this creative principle, you must also cultivate wisdom and discernment in its use. For just as you can create experiences of joy, abundance, and fulfillment, you can also, through misuse of this power, create experiences of lack, limitation, and suffering. Therefore, I urge you to be mindful of your thoughts, your inner conversations, and most importantly, your habitual feeling states. For these are the seeds from which your future experiences will grow. Plant wisely. Tend to your mental garden with care, and you will reap a harvest beyond your wildest dreams. Now let us return to our central theme: believe you can and you are halfway there. As we've explored, this belief is not a mere intellectual assent to a possibility. It is a profound, unshakable knowing, a state of consciousness that aligns you with the creative power of the universe. When you truly believe, when you live from the assumption of your fulfilled, you set in motion forces beyond your comprehension. You activate a law as certain as gravity, a principle as reliable as the rising and setting of the sun. This law, this principle is that consciousness is the only reality. And what you assume as truly your consciousness must inevitably express itself in your outer world. But here's a crucial point that many miss. The power lies not in the belief itself, but in the feeling that the belief engenders. Your subconscious mind, the faithful servant that brings your assumptions to life, responds not to words or mental images alone, but being associated with those words and images. This is why it's so important to make your imaginal acts as vivid and emotionally life-charged as possible. When you imagine your desire fulfilled, feel the joy, the gratitude, the sense of accomplishment that would accompany its realization. Let these feelings permeate your entire being, for it is these feelings that impress your desire upon your subconscious and set the wheels of manifestation in motion. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, I've tried this before, and it didn't work. To this, I say, examine the nature of your attempt. Did you truly live from the end, consistently maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled? Or did you merely engage in periodic visualization or affirmation, all the while holding on to your old beliefs and assumptions? You see, my friends, this principle is not a technique to be applied sporadically. It is a way of life, a fundamental shift in how you relate to reality itself. It requires persistence, patience, and above all, faith. Not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Let me share with you another personal experience that illustrates this point. Many years ago, I found myself in New York, broke and unemployed, longing to return to my home in Barbados. But I had no money for passage, and my family, struggling themselves, could not help me. Instead of succumbing to despair, I applied the principle we're discussing today. Each night as I lay in my bed, I assumed the feeling of being in Barbados. I felt the tropical breeze on my skin, heard the familiar sounds of my homeland, experienced the joy of reuniting with my family. I lived in my imagination as though I were already there. I persisted in this assumption night after night, regardless of my outer circumstances. And then, my friend, the miracle unfolded. Within a matter of weeks, I received a letter from my brother containing the exact amount of money I needed for my passage home. The circumstances that led to this were so unlikely, so unexpected, that to the outside observer, it would have seemed like pure chance or coincidence. But I knew better. I knew that this was the natural, inevitable result of my changed consciousness. By assuming the feeling of my wish fulfilled, I had set in motion a series of events that led to its physical manifestation. This experience taught me a valuable lesson that our outer world is infinitely more malleable, more responsive to our inner state than we have been led to believe. It showed me that when we change our concept of self, when we assume a new state of consciousness, the entire universe conspires to reflect back to us that new self-concept. Now, I want to address a question that often arises when I share these teachings. Many ask, but what about other people? Surely we can't control their actions or decisions. And to this I say, you are not seeking to control others. You are aligning yourself with a state of consciousness in which your desire is already fulfilled. And in doing so, you will find that people and circumstances naturally arrange themselves to match your assumption. You see, other people in your life are not separate from you in the way you might think. In a very real sense, they are playing roles in the drama of your consciousness. As you shift your consciousness, as you assume a new state of being, you will find that others naturally respond in ways that support your new assumption. This is not manipulation or control. It is simply the outworking of a universal law, that your outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. As you change your concept of self, as you live from the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find that the entire world reshapes itself to match your new self-concept. But remember, this principle is not about imposing your will on others or the world around you. It's about aligning yourself with the creative power of the universe, about allowing your desires to manifest in harmony with the highest good of all concerned. When you operate from this level of consciousness, you'll find that your manifestations unfold in ways that are often far more wonderful than you could have imagined or planned. Now let us delve even deeper into the practical application of this principle. How do you maintain your assumption, your belief, in the face of contrary evidence? How do you persist when your senses scream that what you're assuming isn't true? The key, my dear friends, lies in understanding the nature of time. You see, time as we experience it in the physical world is an illusion. In the realm of consciousness, in the world of imagination, all possibilities exist simultaneously. The state you desire to experience is not something in the future. It exists now in this eternal present moment. Your task is simply to shift your consciousness to align with that state. Think of it like tuning a radio. All stations are broadcasting simultaneously, but you can only hear the one to which your radio is tuned. In the same way, all possible states of being are available to you right now. By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are tuning your consciousness to the frequency of desire. But here's the crucial point. You must stay tuned to that frequency. You must persist in your assumption, regardless of what your senses or your current circumstances are telling you. This persistence, this unwavering faith is what bridges the gap between your current reality and your desired state. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. Aren't we just fooling ourselves? To this I say, what you call self-deception is actually the highest form of truth. For in assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are isling yourself a reality that already exists in the realm of infinite possibilities. Remember, your current reality is nothing more than the outpicturing of your past assumptions and beliefs. It has no more permanence or reality than the state you desire to experience. The only difference is that you're giving the power of your belief far beyond the punitivity. But the moment you shift your belief, the moment you begin to live from the assumption of your wish fulfilled, you set in motion a new sequence of events. You activate a new pattern of manifestation. And if you persist in this new assumption, it must inevitably express itself in your outer world. This, my friends, is the true meaning of faith. It is not blind belief in something unseen. It is the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for. When you have true faith, when you live from the state of your wish fulfilled, you are not hoping for something to happen in the future. You are acknowledging a reality that already exists and allowing it to express itself in your experience. Now let me address another common concern. Many ask, what if my desire does manifest immediately? What if I don't see results right away? To this I say patience, my dear friends. Remember, you are dealing with the invisible realm of causes, not the visible world of effects. When a farmer plants a seed, he doesn't dig it up every day to check on its progress. He trusts in the invisible processes of nature to nurture that seed and bring it to fruition. In the same way, once you've planted the seed of your desire in the fire of soil imagination, trust in the invisible processes of creation to bring it to manifestation. Your outer world may not change overnight, but I assure you, the moment you assume a new state of consciousness, things begin to shift. Opportunities arise, circumstances align, people enter your life, all in service of bringing your assumption into physical reality. Your task is simply to persist in your assumption, to maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled, regardless of appearances, for it is your persistence that demonstrates your faith, and it is your faith that moves mountains. Let me share with you one final thought on this subject. The phrase, believe you can and you are halfway there, implies a journey, a process of becoming. But I want you to understand that in the realm of imagination, in the world of consciousness, there is no journey. There is only being. When you truly believe, when you fully assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you are not halfway there. You are already there. The outer manifestation of your desire is simply the shadow catching up to the substance of your belief. This understanding liberates you from anxiety, from the constant striving and struggling that characterizes so much of human existence. It allows you to rest in the assurance that what you desire is already yours, already a fact in the realm of consciousness, simply awaiting your recognition and acceptance. So, my dear friends, as we conclude this discourse, I urge you to take these words to heart. Understand that you are not a helpless victim of circumstances, but a powerful creator, shaping your reality through the power of your assumptions and beliefs. Believe you can, yes, but more than that, believe you are. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Live from that assumption. Persist in that state of consciousness, regardless of appearances. And watch as the miracle of manifestation unfolds in your life. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. What you see and experience is nothing more than the reflection of your own consciousness. Change your consciousness and you change your world. Go forth now armed with this knowledge, this understanding of your true creative power. Apply these principles in your life. Test them, prove them to yourself. For in doing so, you will discover the truth of who you really are. A divine being created in the image and likeness of God, with the power to shape your reality according to your highest ideals, thy deepest desires. Believe you can, and you are not just halfway there, you are already there, in the realm of pure potential, pure creativity. Your task now is simply to allow that inner reality to express itself in your outer world. Go in peace, go with power, go with the absolute assurance that what you desire is already yours. For in truth, it always has been. You need only to awaken to this reality and claim your divine inheritance. Thank you. And may your life be a living testimony to the creative power that resides within you.